Hello, welcome back to my haunted library. It's Regina. Now that we are fully into the Halloween season, I wanted to do a video about some horror anthologies because this is a perfect season to read ghost stories at night, and I have been keeping an anthology of horror stories by my bed now for a while. Try to read one before I go to sleep. So I'm going to be showing you all the ones that I have on my shelves. There are probably some that I missed. I have a lot of books, and frankly, I need to organize them. It's getting kind of bad. But I did pick out the ones that I could find. Some I have read, all of them. Some I've never even opened. But before we get to the anthologies today, I wanted to announce the winner for the giveaway. So we're going to cut to that right now. Well, congratulations to our 3 winners. If you won and you want to collect your prize, you must send me an email at this address. It's also in the description below. And send me your email address and I will send that right out to you in whatever format you prefer. All right, so let's get on with the anthologies and see what I have here. I just randomly pulled these out. So first up we have Shock Rock, The New Sound of Horror, Scream to the Beat. This is an anthology of rock-themed horror stories, and I have read this entire book, and it's a lot of fun. We have Stephen King, Graham Masterson, F. Paul Wilson, David Show, and more. And a foreword by Alice Cooper. I'm afraid, it's kind of falling apart as we speak, but this is really fun. This is going into my whole rock and roll horror, whatever my project, I don't know. I'm collecting all these books that I've read that deal with a rock and roll theme. And for some reason, I'm waiting till I've read most of them before I do a video. Maybe I should rethink that. But anyway, it'll happen after Halloween. So Shock Rock, this is a lot of fun. All right, next up, Ghost Stories of an Antiquary by M.R. James. I know I read all of this. These are really great stories. And this was first printed in 1904. It is the landmark book that established the modern horror story by Montague Road James. If you like classic stories that are chilling, definitely check out these stories. These are great. This is a Dover thrift classic that I picked up many years ago. I've read it many times, and you can tell because I dropped it in the bathtub at least once. You can't see, but the pages are all like wrinkled. That's when you know that a book has been really well loved, when it looks like crap. All right, this next one is very well loved by me personally. More Ghosts in the Valley, More True Hauntings in the Delaware Valley. I also have Ghosts in the Valley, the original, somewhere, but I don't know. I must have taken it off the shelf a while ago. But this is by Addie Kent Thomas Jeffrey. This was like a locally published book all about the ghost stories that are actually in my area of Bucks County, Pennsylvania. So one of the ghost stories in this book deals with Pennsbury Manor, which I will be visiting this week perhaps because I'm doing videos for some future videos about local haunts, tying in the anthology I just put out. But Pennsbury Manor is the home of William Penn, the founder of Pennsylvania, and it's a few miles from my house. And it's a beautiful old colonial house right on the river with lovely gardens. It has been since turned into a museum. So I'm going to go visit there. But yeah, this is fun. It's really fun to check out the local haunts in your own community. And I have more in this book. This is The Big Book of Pennsylvania Ghost Stories by Mark Nesbitt and Patty L. Wilson. This is a little more recent. I notice I have this book bookmarked to Eastern State Penitentiary, which is the prison in Philadelphia, a notorious prison that was known for its inhumane treatment of prisoners. Today, Eastern State is like a museum, and they also do this incredible haunted house there every Halloween. And I've never been to the haunted house, but I've been through the prison. I actually worked on a movie, not a movie, but like a TV show. I did wardrobe for a TV show for the Learning Channel. I don't know, it was many years ago. I forget what the project was called, but I did work on the project. But I also have a personal tie-in to Eastern State. So it's a little uncomfortable talking about it because it does involve my family. My uncle was a very infamous criminal who escaped from Eastern State and was later shot by an off-duty cop in a diner in Chester, Pennsylvania. And yeah, so maybe that's why I don't really think of going into the haunted house in the same way other people might. Not that I knew him. I mean, I'm not that old, but, you know, he was my father's brother. And although when we were growing up, we were, you know, as kids really fascinated by the story of my notorious uncle, it was a source of great pain for my father's family, which you can understand. And my aunt, who's still alive, she's the last member of, you know, that family. There were 6 brothers and 1 girl. And she's still around in her 90s, an amazing woman. She doesn't like to talk about it either. In fact, a few years ago, I decided I wanted to maybe make a documentary about it because I was really fascinated by the story. But when I tried to get her to talk about it, she really didn't want to talk about it. So I just kind of dropped it out of respect for the family. But yeah, now I don't know if his ghost is there. His ghost might be in the diner where he was shot. In fact, the bullet holes are still on the wall, apparently. There's a lot of stories about that. Maybe I'll do a whole video about that someday. I've got some pretty crazy stories in my family. But moving on, we have some of my favorite ghost stories from dating back to when I was a kid in these Alfred Hitchcock Presents books. This one is called Portraits of Murder, 47 Short Stories Chosen by the Master of Suspense. This is a newer copy, and I don't know if I've ever even cracked this one open, but I should look at this one. But these are the ones that I've loved since I was a kid, and I luckily just found a couple copies recently in thrift stores. And this one is Alfred Hitchcock's Haunted Houseful. The artwork on these are just amazing. I just remember getting these out of the library at school. So it's really a thrill to own them. There's one. This is making me cough, some of these books. And this is another one, Alfred Hitchcock's Ghostly Gallery. Okay, let's see what else we have. All right, this is a beautiful copy. I was lucky to get. To put the whole set together, I think would be very difficult because they're very collectible and pretty expensive. And this is Clive Barker's Books of Blood, Volume 1. This is a very nice copy. I didn't read this because I don't want to mess it up. I have it on Kindle. I've read all of the Books of Blood. Great place to start with Clive Barker. And a book I've been wanting to get, it's one of those books I've like taken out of the library so many times I should just buy it, is The Essential Clive Barker, because it has a really good foreword written by him in it that is incredible. Incredible. I still have to get back to reading my Clive Barker books. I started on a mission 2 years ago to read everything that he's written, and I didn't get very far. I've been reading maybe every 6 months. I've been reading a Clive Barker book. This work's pretty challenging, but I need to get back into it. So this is a nice version that I'm pretty sure I got at Barnes & Noble in one of their leather-bound books, The Complete Tales and Poems of Edgar Allan Poe. I also have all of his stories on audiobook, Audible, and sometimes I'll just put one on when I'm driving around in the car. Quoth the Raven, Nevermore. I don't know if you guys saw it, but last Christmas I did a whole video about the Raven and put this very graphic video together. It was like a labor of love, but not many people watch that video. Oh well, it sort of works out that way. Okay, here we go. This book is an old library book that I found in a thrift store. This is called Cutting Edge, All Original Tales of Horror and Mystery by Peter Straub, Clive Barker, Chelsea Quinn Yarbrough, Whitley Strieber, Robert Bloch. This is edited by Dennis Etchison, Doubleday, 1986. I have not read any of these yet. So this next one I found at the Christian thrift store, which is rather amusing. Women of Darkness 2, edited by Catherine Patchik. Oh, that's a tough name to pronounce. I'm assuming there's a Women of Darkness one. In fact, I think I might even have it, but I couldn't find it. But this, I have not even opened, I'm ashamed to say. But maybe this is the one now I'll include by my bedside for the month of Halloween. I think that's a good idea. I'm going to put this one over here. Let me know if you've read any of those. I was really happy to find that. All right, what else? This one I picked up somewhere. I don't remember. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. This is pretty famous. There's a movie version, and it's very thin. I think these are, it's like a series, illustrated. These look super easy to read. And like, it looks like a kid's story. 1981. Yeah, this came out a long time ago. They're like short, like kids stories, I think. There is a movie based on these. I really should brush up on this. These are very short, easy reads. I'm going to put that in this stack. All right, this one I have no idea where it came from, but I know I did not open it, but it looks cool. 13 Wicked Tales. The Wicked Library presents 13 Wicked Tales, edited by Daniel Foytik, Nelson Piles, and Scarlett Alge. 13 authors from around the world gather here to explore the very notion that learning about the unknown can have terrifying results. Award-winning horror podcast, The Wicked Library. Okay, this looks pretty cool. I don't recognize any of these authors, but that doesn't mean anything. I want to put all of them in the pile. Okay, this is one that I should read too, because I just got this. Creaky Stairs, A Book of Dark Truths, Volume 1. I did read one story from this. I read the first story. Presented by the Bucks County Writers Group. This is a group of writers that write in my own county. You see what I mean? It's very hard to resist any of these. You want to read them right away. But this is how I get with all the books in my library. I'm just like, or every time I walk into a bookstore or a public library, it's like, oh, I want this, you know? And then you can't read them all, at least not in one day. All right, this one I have read quite a few, and this is a really good publisher, Silver Shamrock Publishing. They're coming out with a new one, Midnight in the Pentagram. And I have to say, I did submit a story to that. My story was, I don't know if it was almost put in the anthology, but I made it to like one of the last cuts. But, you know, hey, I was happy that it was even considered. So I think these people are awesome. And that's Midnight in the Graveyard, edited by Kenneth W. Kane. And it has a lot of authors that I have on my shelves, like Robert McCammon, Hunter Shea, Chad Lutsky. This one I picked up somewhere, and I have never opened this. The Confederacy of the Dead, edited by Richard Gillian, Martin H. Greenberg, and Edward E. Kramer. All original Civil War stories by 25 masters of fantasy and horror. So this is a Civil War themed anthology. God knows what we'd find in here. This came out in 1993. William S. Burroughs, Nancy A. Collins, Charles Grant. So let me know if any of you read this. I don't know if I'm ready to dig into this yet, but this looks intriguing. This one's called 13 Tales of Horror by 13 Masters of Horror. We've got a lot of Masters of Horror here. This was edited by T. Pines. Scholastic book. I'm wondering if it's more for kids. 1991. The print looks rather large, and just the way it's presented, I'm thinking this might be more for like adolescents. Huh, okay. Anyone read this one? I find the kinkiest books at the Christian thrift store, just saying. This one's called Hottest Blood. This one looks definitely fun, and it has a nice dust jacket. Let's take a look. This looks like it came out in the 70s. The Ultimate in Erotic Horror, edited by Jeff Gelb. We have another Jeff Gelb in the pile, and Michael Garrett. Terror Never Felt This Sexy. Graham Masterson, David Cho. Same people kind of appear in a lot of these. Oh, he also did Shock Rock. That's where we saw it. Okay, so this came out in 1993. To me, it felt like a little older, just from the dust jacket. This looks like fun. I do love reading a book that kind of has this feel to it. Just in the aesthetics of reading, I respond positively to this type of book. So I'm going to put this in this side. So this one I found in a used bookstore. Sisters of the Night. 15 new and original stories about female vampires and their prey. edited by Barbara Hambley and Martin H. Greenberg. When beauty is terror, when love is despair, then the songs of blood and darkness begin. You know, I was really on a vampire kick there for a while, so I may start up again. Sisters of the night, they're everywhere. Well, that is true. And nowhere. Well, that's true too. From ancient days to here and now, stalking nocturnal forests, city lights, and suburban PTAs, they're blessed and cursed, feared and adored. One may be your office mate, a stranger on the street, your best friend's mom, your lost dream, your destiny, or you. I'm intrigued by this already. I am definitely moving this to this side. All right, only a few more to go. This was a great find. I found this in a thrift store maybe 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. I've read quite a bit of this. This was by my bed for about a year. I don't know if I've read every single story, but this is The Dark Descent, The Evolution of Horror. Great stories in this book. For any horror fan, if you find this, buy it. It's really, really good. Let's see what we have here. Edited by David G. Hartwell. This anthology is a mix of like newer stuff and more classic stuff. So it has Lovecraft in it, Shirley Jackson, The Summer People. That story really disturbed me. There's something about Shirley Jackson that just, she really can get under my skin. Harlan Ellison, Nathaniel Hawthorne, Young Goodman Brown. So we have a mix of old, very old classic stories and newer stuff. It starts off with Stephen King's story, The Reach, which is a beautiful, beautiful story. This is more literary fiction. William Faulkner, D.H. Lawrence, Flannery O'Connor, Henry James, just Charles Dickens. Oh, and another Stephen King and Joyce Carol Oates. Worth getting. Definitely worth getting. So if you find this in the wild, grab it. So we're down to the last two books, and have any guess what they might be? I will give you a hint. They have the same cover artist. All right, give up. We've got Autumncrow by Cameron Chaney. This book came out last year, just in time for Halloween, and it's a beautiful read. All the stories take place in this fictional town called Autumncrow, which is where it's like always Halloween. It's very beautifully done, very creepy, has kind of like a kid's feel to it, but then some of the stories go into a lot more like gory places. And Cameron Rubik did a beautiful job on that cover. I just love this. The colors just really puts me in the mood for Halloween. In fact, I'm going to move this to this stack because I want to reread some of that. And the last anthology, can you guess what it is Local Haunts, a HorrorTube anthology, which I edited. It's a bunch of tales, 19 in all by our own community of HorrorTubers. Everyone in this anthology, every author has a booktube or an authortube channel. So I will also be doing a giveaway of the paperback version of this probably next week sometime. So keep your eye out for that. So those are all of the anthologies on my shelves. Let me know in the comments below if you've read any of these or if you have any recommendations of some really good anthologies we should check out. I'm going to be reading some more of these this week, so maybe I'll do a follow-up video about that. So that's all I have for today. Thanks for stopping by my haunted library, and I'll see you soon. Bye.